There's an object lesson in the law in Harry Mcgraw. Don't look too closely about the person working across the hallway from you, because you may find completely different kinds of characters and backgrounds with you two. It really is amazing, and in real life, it turns out, I don't know, it seems the two of you couldn't be more different. Let's get into that very quickly. Barbara, first, your background in diplomacy, for heaven's sake?
Well, my father was a career Army officer as well as in the State Department and the Diplomatic Corps. He was sort of loaned out all the time. So we lived all over the world, and I went to a lot of different schools and seen an awful lot in my life, and went into acting because the Diplomatic Corps was not interested in allowing women to become ambassadors at the time that I was interested in going into the Diplomatic Corps.
And it was that obvious? I mean, it was
yes.
that...
Oh, it was very clear. It was very clear. I would have been a glorified secretary, as they said. So
at least for a while you're pursuing diplomatic channels, Jerry, you're in a wholly different kind of world. Not so holy, maybe.
Not so holy.
On the stage, among other places, you had been everywhere, it seems. For example...
Well, I grew up everywhere. I grew up all over the country, sort of.
That you have in common.
Yeah, but I was on the other side of the tracks, basically. My father was in the restaurant business with a chain store. My mother's family were coal miners in Pennsylvania. And I saw my share of the pool rooms and things like that.
And from there to off-Broadway, in a little show. Now, what's that name of that thing?
Yeah, it's a little-known thing called The Fantastics. And I stayed in the theater and in New York for quite a long time.
Is it only in show business that two guys with disparate backgrounds or desperate backgrounds like that could get together in the first place, I wonder?
It seems to cross all sorts of lines of culture and background and nationality. Interesting about show business, I'm sure Barbara's had the same kind of experience. I've met, and no place else but in this business could I have met presidents, astronauts, gangsters, everything, you know, every facet of society, you know.
Now, Barbara, from your perspective, can a person with a background in diplomacy do well in Hollywood? Does it need a background in diplomacy to do well?
I think it helps, don't you? I mean, I think in any profession in which you're dealing with people primarily, the better you can adjust to another person's rhythms and interests, the better you're going to get along.
Let's find also some things in your background that are completely different. When you've got spare time, I understand you're on safari?
Yes.
What?
Yes. I work with scientists as a volunteer, as a research assistant on expeditions to Africa and the Amazon. And that's what interests me when I'm not working.
How do you react to that, Jerry? Would you like to check that?
Well, Barbara's very interested in animal behavior.
Which is why we get along.
Especially primates and we, as actors, you're always interested in human behavior. I learn a lot of my human behavior across a poker table. It's
nice.
it's quite the same.
Yeah. Meantime, your character is one that, let's slip into the roles now for a moment. What kind of appeal can this guy have to you in this show?
Oh, I think enormous. Yeah. Enormous, because for me, looking in a mirror is boring. You don't want to be with somebody who reflects you. You want to, I for one would want to be with somebody who has opposite interests, opposite feelings. To me, it's much more interesting as a combination. And I think for the show, it's a very interesting one because instead of our yesing each other all the time, we're knowing each other all the time.
Well, in fact, there's almost like a kind of a Bridget Sam Spade Maltese Falcon setup between the two. In fact, I think you're helping return to TV a kind of private eye picture, as it were, that we haven't seen in a while.
Well, I think
you're kind of snarly and rumply and you're worldly wise.
Yeah, and one of the differences about this thing than a lot of other things is that these are two grown-ups. These people have been around, you know, they've had either a death of a spouse or a divorce or other things like that. So they've seen something of the world. They're not, they didn't just come to life in this office.
And as a result, your audiences will be, dare we say it, grown-ups. Isn't that nice?
Well, it would be nice.
Yeah, which is to say the situations in the show will be grown up. And isn't that nice?
Yeah, yeah. I think the opportunity for complex plots is greater because we have been through so much ourselves that as characters, because we've lived a little longer than 20 years, the possibilities for the relationship are more interesting as well.
Now, as you essay out into this, what are you going to be missing or leaving behind? Of course, we think of Hill Street Blues with you. Anything you will be missing about that?
Well, that was a unique experience, and I'll always treasure it. It was a very, very
So have I. I've
powerful-
been wanting to meet somebody like that character for a long time.
Oh, there are a lot of us in you know.
All right.
They really are. It's just that she was willing to show it. That character was willing to show what she was feeling.
And Jerry, what will you be leaving behind? Will we be hearing you sing at all?
I don't know. We might have a little
It's a
fantasy
mind-boggling
there.
idea. What do you
It's
think?
a mind-boggling idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Maybe
might have
not.
some sort of a fantasy down the line where I get to sing a little. Barbara sings too. Maybe we'll do an operetta.
While we're chewing on that one, that's what life is. Across the hallway from these two, the Law and Harry Mcgraw, and with them for KCTV5, I'm John Tibbetts in Redondo Beach.